Hello, welcome to Film Lovers. I'm Sonia Chung. I'll be talking to people who work in the film industry and who are also avid film lovers. Today I'll be talking to writer and filmmaker Mark Brown. Hi Mark, how are you today?
Yeah, I'm okay. Like I say, bit of a cold, not feeling too spectacular on
Oh
the
dear.
physical front, but otherwise all is good.
Um, so tell us how you got into doing what you do. Just explain how you got into it and why you decided to go into filmmaking, etc.
Um, it's just what I've always wanted to do, really. I've kind of never tried to do anything else. I probably took a bit longer to get where I am now than I should have.
Mm,
Uh, I grew up in the Northeast, and being a film director was not something that people kind of thought was a realistic option for your future. So it wasn't exactly encouraged. I mean, my family were nice, but they didn't. I don't think anyone really kind of believed I would actually go and do it. I kind of made lots of silly little films as a kid and watched thousands and thousands and thousands of them. And eventually went to university, did a bit of filmmaking there, but again, I was a bit too much of a chicken to kind of dive fully in. I guess I didn't believe it myself. And then after university, I kind of was in this lull of not knowing what to do with anything in my life, and all I wanted to do was write and make films. So that's what I was doing for just in my
mm.
bedroom. And so I'd end up joining this course that my mother forced me onto. She said, "Do this or get a real job."
See what
So I
parents
did
are like, aren't they?
do this film course, and so I did, and we made a film at the end of it, which won this tiny little award, and that was enough for me just to go right. All right, I'm off. I'm going to move to London, and so I did. So I moved to London like a month later, and fell into theatre and set up a theatre company with some people I met at a writing course, and
Okay.
that did pretty well for a few years. We were just doing that, and had probably too good a time. Probably should have got back into film a bit quicker, but theatre's great fun.
It is.
And it is. And so eventually I did just all my writing was kind of becoming too filmy,
Yeah.
and it seemed like the right things to shift back into film, and made some shorts, and then got sort of commissioned to write this period boxing drama about what was that, 2008, I think.
Okay.
And since then I've just been feast and famine, as it were, but pretty much just working in feature films and short films and stuff, comedy and stuff like that
Hmm.
since.
It's quite a bold move, though, isn't it? I mean, it's not one of those things that you get regular work in. It's a bit like when you're an actor, because I'm also an actor. So you have to you go through periods of no work. So I guess that's a real gamble for you, in a way, isn't it? It must be quite
Yeah,
difficult to figure out how to sort of start off, and then it's all by word of ear and networking, really, isn't it? And that's how you build up
yeah, it's just again
your
like they always say,
network.
it's luck, but I
Mm,
suppose it's luck it's lucky that if you're always there and you're always kind of putting yourself about a bit. I mean, I'm not a good networker. I'm too busy having a drink and chatting to my friends in the corner at networking events. So, but but I do write kind of constantly. I'm always trying to do something. And so I think if that's where the luck comes in. That if you're just there
mm,
and people see you doing stuff, then they go, "Oh, do you want to do something with me?" And that's how kind of it started with me.
yeah.
I was making theatre and short films, and then this guy's like, "Can you come and do something like that with me?" And it turned out as a feature film, which did pretty well
Mm,
from a script point of view. Anyway, but it never got made, but it opened a lot of doors for me,
sure.
and kind of has helped me just. I mean, I suppose like you do have those moments of famine where you just can't. You don't think you're going anywhere,
No.
and then something comes along to just give you that nudge back into positivity, and you go, well, all right, well, it's still going along. The train's still moving.
Yeah.
So,
Um.
and perseverance. So like basically
Sure.
in the last 12, 13 years, you know, I've sort of managed to dig out a career, and the more you do, the more you kind of people seem to want to work with. So
Yeah.
you know.
So I guess did you start off primarily with the writing first and then you got into filmmaking afterwards, or was it more of the other way around when you first sort of started out?
I suppose strangely, originally when I was like a 3-year-old, 5-year-old,
We wouldn't know
kid,
really.
I wanted to be a director. That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to make films, and I was very intrigued by the whole how things got made, and the writing just seemed utterly beyond me because it just seemed like, how do you write all those words? And so I was more like, into like knowing what Steven Spielberg did than than any screenwriters. Yeah, it kind of came out of necessity really that no one else was going to do it for me, so I started doing it myself.
Yeah.
And then it turns out I was pretty good at it, and also I got a lot of satisfaction out of it. I enjoyed it a lot,
which is always a bonus, isn't it?
Yeah,
because it doesn't feel like
yeah,
work. It's something you genuinely enjoy doing.
And also it gives you kind of a bit of control over your career. You're not waiting for someone else to give you something to do. If you're a director, you've got to have a script. And if you're not writing it yourself, you've got to wait for someone else to give it to you, and it's the same as an actor. You need a script and stuff. Whereas if you're a writer, you can just write.
Well, that's it. I mean, that's how I sort of started off as well, because I started writing my own stuff and then I eventually started making them into short films. So you're kind of creating your own opportunities, really, which is also another big bonus for a lot of people that work in the creative or entertainment field, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Especially in this day and age when you can make your own stuff a bit more. I see it happening more and more. For me, it was just, I say the writing just became this accidental thing that I really loved. And when I got into theatre and I realised I could just write whatever I wanted and have a lot of fun, I just kind of learnt my trade by just writing and writing and writing.
Sure.
Every day and loads of different stuff, and just putting them on stage and seeing what happens. And it was a fantastic learning curve. And so I didn't really direct for a long time.
Okay.
And I wanted to, and then I just liked writing, and I was producing quite a lot of the plays. So directing just didn't seem possible. And it wasn't until really 2014, I think, no, 13.
Okay.
Where I kind of got back into it through in film anyway.
And in between projects, how did you manage to finance yourself? Were you doing lots of camera work? Because a lot of people tend to go into just camera operating work, don't they? There's many different kinds of jobs in there to keep going in between.
A lot of my director friends who are much more technically minded than me do that. I didn't do that because I'm rubbish technically speaking. I don't know anything about like cameras and all that kind of stuff. I know what I want to see and I know how to kind of communicate, but I rely very much on the camera crew to
put that into practice.
So I survived with when I first moved to London, just getting a few terrible jobs. Working in a Wetherspoons.
That's usually how it starts, isn't it?
Yeah, temp jobs, doing data entry or whatever, and stuff would just happen. I would just somehow, when I was at my lowest, when I had no money or whatever, something would just come along. I would somehow get out of debt very briefly, and then I got my first decent paycheck in 2012, I think.
Wow.
Which I kind of cleared my debts for a while, and allowed me a bit of freedom to go and try and do other stuff. And like just those type of things. It's not like a massively regular occurrence.
No, but it must be so satisfying as well.
Yeah, so I've been able to survive, and the last couple of years, 3 years, have been really good. Been nice. Not rich and famous by any means, but
you're earning money doing what you love doing, which is amazing, because a career should be something you don't feel like is even work. It's something you really enjoy doing, which is clearly what you do.
I think that's why a lot of people find it very difficult to believe that this is a career, because I enjoy doing it, because that, like, they go, well, then it's not hard. I was like, it's incredibly hard.
Yeah,
it's just I have to enjoy it and find deep satisfaction in it. And it's most people, work in an office, or they doing something that is maybe interesting to them, but so many people I know that aren't satisfied
No.
with what they're doing, and they just kind of ended up in these places. But they seem to think that's how life is. And I'm like, well, it's not how I really
No.
saw my life going, to be honest. So I'd rather have a lot less money and a lot more kind of inner happiness than the other way around.
Sure. And how's it been for you when the pandemic started? Were you working on anything when we had the first lockdown? I mean, that must have been very difficult for you if you were waiting for any projects to go into place.
Yeah. I mean, it was at the beginning. It was bad when I had a play and a film both get shut down.
Oh.
The play was going to go on in the April of that year, and obviously I went into lockdown in March. So
Mm.
and that play just kind of, that didn't happen. And me and my producer were getting down the line on this feature film that I'd written, and so we were kind of getting ready to do some camera tests and all that kind of thing. And then the bottom just fell out of the industry, didn't it? And
Yeah.
but I was lucky because I was simultaneously pitching for a job,
Okay.
working for the studio to write an action thriller kind of thing.
Wow. Okay.
And so I ended up getting that job, which saw us through the first big chunk of lockdown. Basically the first 4 months or 5 months, it was all right. So I was doing that, but lockdown ultimately was very, very creatively fruitful because I just wrote loads of stuff.
I was going to
I
say
ended up
that's
making.
probably the best time to do that, isn't it? Because you've got all this time, and you might as well, especially if you're a writer, you can work on all that time on writing and creating new opportunities for whenever everything started opening up again, which took a very long time, especially for the film industry.
Yeah, I mean that was how I ended up making my second feature film, Dead on the Vine. Was that I'd finished this job and I was going crazy. I was writing, but I wasn't writing anything that could have possibly been made at that
Mm.
time and stuff. So I was like, I need to have something to aim towards here. So the play that had been cancelled, I thought could be made very cheaply and very quickly into a feature film. And so I pitched the idea to my producer, and then she was also going crazy. She said, "Yeah, let's make a film. Can we set it in a vineyard though? Because my friend's vineyard's been shut down over because of COVID
Oh,
and not going to open up till August. So he says we can shoot there. So I was like, oh, okay, let's do that then. So I rewrote this whole thing and well, I kind of started from scratch really and set this whole thing in a vineyard, and we ended up doing it and shooting it.
that's amazing though, considering. But then I guess
So,
did that so when were you initially going to shoot it to begin with? Or you were going to
well,
put it on as
this
a play first, weren't you? And then shoot
was
it
going to be a play, which
eventually.
was going to be just going for a little short run. I was just kind of easing my way back into the theatre,
Mm.
and so the play and the film are very not alike now. They're very, very different.
Mm.
There's a couple of character similarities, but that's it. So she told me, my producer Laura Reese, she's said basically the Vineyard opens at the beginning of August, like August the 3rd.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it was May the 9th when we were having this conversation.
Okay.
She goes, so do you reckon we can get a film together between May the 9th and August the 3rd? And I was like, yeah, of course we can. So we did. And so I wrote the script in a couple of weeks, and then she started crewing up and started getting people's interest because obviously no one was working.
Mm.
Everyone was like going out of their minds.
Yeah.
And so we managed to put together this absolutely spectacular crew of people who, had we actually had any money, we wouldn't have been able to afford anyway because they were way above our kind of pay level,
Sure.
what we were working with. And so we were hugely lucky. And also Laura's husband is a really good cameraman
Okay.
who'd been working for the BBC for a few years and was just moving into film. So he also helped build the Vineyard.
Mm. Oh wow.
So he was incredibly useful when it came to
Yeah, sure.
planning. This is where it goes. This is that. So we had a really incredibly efficient team, and so we set the dates for the last 2 weeks of July and give ourselves as much time as we could. And we hit our deadline. We and started shooting, I think July the 18th, I think, for 12 days, and got it in.
Oh, okay. So which is really, that's pretty amazing, considering that everything was so difficult and we had God knows how many lockdowns.
Well, I mean, because we were lucky because, as I've said to many people, I said this could only have happened in the way it happened. Because it's had it been later on, then the regulations on film production changed massively because all the laws came in.
Sure.
Whereas we were kind of just being given guidelines, so it was our own sort of personal responsibility to stay safe and which we did. We put in all the
protocols and everything.
All the protocol stuff. We had. I mean, everyone was pretty much tested and wore masks and social distancing, etc. I mean, it's 77-acre vineyard, so it was.
So you got lots of space.
It was pretty easy to stay apart. It was great fun.
Yeah, it sounds like it. All right. So, is there anything you want to say to sign off with?
Watch my film Guardians.
Okay, that's a good plug.
That's currently on Sky Store and Amazon Prime if you don't want to pay.
Okay.
It's on the free right now, and it's on iTunes as well.
Okay, I'll watch out for that. It's a good plug.
And then look out for my film Dead on the Vine, which will be hopefully finished soon and
awesome
with you in the next 6 months, I would hope.
Okay, I look forward to seeing that, Mark. All right. Well, we should do another podcast at some point. That was fun.
Yeah, absolutely. I could bring some more people.
Yeah, that'd be great. If you could recommend anyone else who'd like to talk to me, that'd be wonderful.